I want to show you an example of cropping an image, and then we are going to look at how to expand an image. This piece is called regret, and it deals with regret as a concept. I mention the idea behind the piece because cropping is a huge alteration to the composition. And when you make such a large change, it can alter the concept of the piece. This could be seen as something that is positive or negative depending on your process and your attachment to the ideas behind the artwork. This is a piece of digital artwork, so I can keep the original and create a second piece. Working digitally allows me to create new work that stems from this existing piece without having to replace it. If I was working on paper, my options would be more limited. As discussed earlier, this image has good composition that uses the rule of thirds. However, other strong compositions can be found. I've cropped the image down and straight away you can see how the concept has changed. The image is just a man thinking. In the previous image, he was contemplating something that had happened earlier in his journey. We could see the tree on fire, and we knew that was in his thoughts. The proximity of that image to the man implies the two things are strongly related. Without the burning tree, we just have a man thinking. He could be thinking about any number of things, and we have no visuals to give us further insight into those thoughts. Since we've already looked at the diamond guide, I'm sure you've already noticed this image has a strong central composition. Both the original composition and the new composition have equal strength, yet they are both different. Cropping an image on its own doesn't seem to be enough. I've taken some information away, but I haven't added anything extra. If I'm going to create a new piece, I'd like it to convey something more. I'm going to expand the image as the next step in the process, although I'm not suggesting that crop and expand should always be used together. Sometimes an image just needs cropping in order to create a better composition, or the concept of the piece is too complex and it needs simplifying. Cropping can be seen as one tool and expansion can be seen as another. It's about deciding what's right for the artwork that you're working on, and every piece is going to be different. It's going to take a lot of experimentation to build these skills. The idea of expanding the canvas is something that I came across when studying with the Museum of Modern Art in New York. They suggested that it could be used to help people engage with a piece of artwork. They would do exercises where you would take a piece of artwork, print it out with space around it, and then artists of any age would draw different things within the space that surrounds the work. I think it's an excellent tool for getting a new perspective on an existing painting. That could be a painting that you've created yourself or one that's been created by somebody else. It leads to a lot of wonderful imaginative ideas that might have been lost if the technique wasn't used. It also has the potential to be a highly sophisticated tool for analysing a piece of artwork and the concept behind it. In the original image, the figure is on the right and the tree burns behind him. I've cropped the part that I wanted to keep, and then I changed the canvas space around him. I've expanded the canvas, and it might not seem like a huge difference to the original composition, that we had in the image regret. However, previously the canvas space was behind him, but now the canvas space is in front of him. This alters the composition and it gives us the opportunity to alter the concept. When you expand the canvas, it's an opportunity to be creative and add something different to the image, although I wanted it to still have a relationship to the original piece. If you're creating a piece where you're expanding the canvas, you don't need to consider the original concept. You can take it as an opportunity to let your imagination run wild and add anything that you want in the space you've created. It really is a technique that inspires something new. Still, I do want to give you an example of how you can create two pieces where the concept is related. If I was replacing the original, I might not consider its concept, but I wanted to create an image that was a companion to the first. The original piece was all about regret and contemplating the mistakes that were made. It was about the path that had been travelled. I wanted the second image to use the original concept in a new way. This piece is titled Moving On, and that is the concept behind it. The ideas behind the image are all related to coming to terms with your regrets and moving beyond them. It's about creating a healthy relationship to the present moment. The man is contemplating planting new seeds and preparing for a new beginning. This piece could be seen in isolation, but the other acts as a companion. I don't consider them to be a diptych. They don't need to be displayed together because each piece can be understood as an isolated image, although there is a relationship between the two. The two images weren't created in the same year, and I think that helps with this particular concept. The feeling of regret and moving on are two things that are in contrast to each other. It's interesting to create two pieces where two very different ideas are held together by one element, the thinking man. The image depicts two emotions and experiences that are part of the same journey. We experience both of them at different times, and the thing that holds them together is us. It is our journey, our path. Sometimes we consider the trees we have burned down at the roadside, and later we consider how to plant new seeds. I used the composition tools of crop and expand, and it allowed me to analyze the composition and concept of my original image. After that initial stage, it allowed me to create another piece of work that considered the concept in a new way. I could have used this technique with many different pieces of work, but I chose regret because it's a simple concept that we can all relate to because it is such a common experience. It could be explored and expanded in a way that could be more easily discussed. However, this approach can lead to very complicated and sophisticated concepts. If I'd chosen the Arnolfini portrait or one similar, I could have expanded the canvas to include something new. We saw this piece earlier and we looked at some of its symbols. That image is full of different ideas. Imagine that I expanded the canvas and added another female figure to the image. This small act would alter the meaning of the piece. Every symbol within the image would then relate also to this extra person. The female figure could stand in contrast to the dog as a symbol of faithfulness, perhaps suggesting that faithfulness is a problem. There are two other people in that mirror, and it's been said that they could be witnesses to the marriage, and the painting acts as a legal document. Another figure would alter this interpretation. Every symbol within the piece would relate to this new figure, this new symbol that's been placed on the canvas. The artwork becomes more complicated in concept, and all that's happened is you've put another person in the image. When you place an object on the canvas, it becomes a symbol and will relate to everything else on the canvas. It's never just a dog or just a person. The dog is also a symbol of faithfulness, and the figure could be the symbol of a mistress. This composition idea of expanding a canvas, it can lead to some very interesting and complex images. It can inspire new connections to existing artworks and inspire a new direction.